Hey guys, welcome back to Grounded Life Finances. We are Allie and Rob, and today we are sharing with you how we travel full-time, 7 steps that we took. And this is probably the question that we get most often. How do we get to do this? What do I have to do? We're going to share all that information with you today, right?
Yep, that is a big question we get, and it really starts. You go back several years because if you're not ready to travel full time yet, there is a few years of planning you do need to take to make this happen. And let's start with the very first thing, and that is to get out of debt. So you can do that wherever you are, whatever stage you're at. That's the first step. You've got to get out of debt because if you have debt and payments, that's just going to shackle you down, keep you from being able to do it. So that's the first thing. You could spend a couple years trying to do that. That's what we did. We started this process when our kids were in high school, and that's the first step. Everyone should do that.
Exactly. And I mean, that's really, not only is it a great feeling to be completely debt-free, but it's really going to help towards the cause of being a full-time travel person, right? And it's so important. And I know we discuss a lot of credit cards on here, and people are like, wait a minute, why are you discussing credit cards? Always remember that we're sharing that information, but you're paying those off. This isn't ever accruing, large amounts of
Interest,
money on these cards, and that you end up paying interest on. We use these cards, we pay them off every single month. We don't ever have a month where we don't pay them off. If we don't have enough money, we're not putting it on the card.
Right, exactly. So that's the first thing. There's a whole lot of ways you can get out of debt. The topic of this video isn't how to get out of debt, just to tell you that's the first step. Once you've done that, and that's probably the longest step in this whole process.
Yes.
But don't give up, do that. Next ones are much easier. The second step is to start eliminating bills. And I remember I was paying our bills at this time when we had this idea. I had a list of every bill that we had, and I was just adding up all the bills at the end of the month. And I was like, this is outrageous. Like, this is $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month just in stuff, and I don't even know what we're getting for it. So it can be terrible.
I do recall that specific day when you said, are we really paying all of these things? Why?
Yeah, so I encourage you, make a list of every bill, even the stuff you don't even know you're paying. You got to go through your card statements and say, is Netflix still charging me really for 2 accounts and all this other stuff that you've signed up for? Figure out how much you're paying and start eliminating bills. And also look into what bills you could eliminate if you travel full time. That's the key. So you want to be able to get rid of all your bills eventually. We're at the point now where we have very few bills in our life. Basically just, well, I can't even really name any bills offhand. We do have Netflix, but...
yeah, pretty much just subscription packages, and we do pay for insurance, for catastrophic insurance.
Yeah, so start eliminating your bills and start getting... Because that's going to start saving you money, and that's something you're going to have to do eventually, is start eliminating all of your bills. Okay, so...
that is a big one.
That is a big one, but that's a good one because every bill you eliminate, you're going to feel freedom.
Absolutely.
And you're just going to feel like you have your whole life
so once you get out of debt, which is the point where we were at when you were doing this, completely out of debt, but we were still paying stuff monthly, and we're like, why? We don't need this food service anymore. It's just the two of us. We don't need, this. We don't need. There's so many things, and like you said, there are hidden things in that you have on automatic payment and don't even realize that you have subscription to anymore.
Yeah. So the third thing that you'll need to do is to start to move some of your income online. And this can be a little bit tougher for some people, easy for some people. Now this may be through the form of I'm retiring and I'll get a pension, and it doesn't need to be online income. That just means
residual income of some sort.
Income that you will get that you don't have to be in a certain city to get. So if you're getting a pension, get that anywhere. If you have a stock portfolio where you're getting dividends from it, or you'll be able to withdraw money from that, or you have a retirement fund, that's great. If you have a consulting business, you're doing lessons, you're teaching English over the computer, whatever it is you do, get that income coming to you online so that you don't have to live where you're currently living, and you can do that. Now, the thing about that is you don't have to move all of your income online. You only have to start moving a fraction of it, because your new life is going to be way cheaper than your current life. So if you're living on $8,000 a month right now, you maybe only need to move $3,000 of that online, $4,000, and you can build that up over time to be able to do this full time.
Yeah, exactly. Once you're on the road full time, your life is going to be way cheaper.
Way cheaper if you do it properly. Next one we've got is to use points and miles wisely. So those credit cards we talked about on here, start saving up the points and miles. Make out a system. Like be intentional in everything you purchase, what you're purchasing it on, why you're purchasing it on that card, because you're going to get the most benefit from everything. You just want to be strategic with every purchase and have a plan for that.
Yeah, exactly. Those really come in handy, and that's why we talk about those on here, because they are a huge portion of our travel life, and how we do what we do is we can go places for free.
Yeah.
Or for a very reduced rate.
The next thing you're going to want to do while you are still at your current home, and still, even while you have your kids with you still, is visit countries to research their viability for this new type of lifestyle. So in other words, don't spend your vacation time going to Hawaii, because that's not a viable place to live full-time traveling around.
For a lower cost.
Yeah, for a low cost. Or don't go to Norway, or don't go to Iceland. Those are great places to go, but you're not going to live there on an income that you've moved online long term. So you want to be looking at places like Thailand, Vietnam, Colombia, Mexico. You could even do Canada, maybe. Just different places for shorter stints. So you want to be researching these and say to yourself, which ones am I good with? Which ones do I like? And which ones do I not like? And I'm just writing off the board.
Yeah, you can figure that out pretty easily once you hit the road. You'll know exactly where you're going to be. But if you've done the research and tried these places out, at least you get a good taste of, if this would be a good experience for a longer trip or a longer term stay.
Yeah, I remember the first time we went to Thailand, it was really like a light bulb went off, because we realized we loved it there. We realized the finances will work out, and that was when we said to ourselves, we could really do this for as long as we want, because at that point we already had enough income to live there full time. And we said, well, we don't even need to do that. We're just going to still travel around some. So we do throw in other places. I mean, we're in New York City right now making this video. So we don't just live in one place, but you can move from place to place as your budget allows and as the money comes in for that.
Yeah, that definitely affects it.
This is a big one that you're going to get to eventually if you want to live this type of lifestyle, and that is to sell everything. And by everything, I mean 99% of what you have. Sell it. Don't hang on to it. There's no reason to hang on to your TV, to your stereo, to your couches, to your bed, to your house, to your cars. And if you sold
let them go.
every single thing you owned, you will not have any problems, because the thing is, if it didn't work out, you can always buy them back. And that's the thing that people get scared of. You can always buy back a TV 2 years later, and it'll be better TV and it'll be cheaper. So that's not really a problem. But when you sell all that stuff that you have, not only will you get a massive lump sum of cash, you'll eliminate all those other bills that were on your list. Selling your house, selling your car, there goes your gas, your oil changes, your car maintenance, your HOA fees, your air conditioning, your heating, your water, your trash, your internet. Every single bill.
All the incidentals that come with that.
Decorating for Halloween, decorating for Easter. There's so many bills that you are currently paying because you have a house and you have a car, that if you eliminated them, you would have almost no bills. So now take a minute and write down, if you didn't have your house and didn't have your car and you just lived in a hotel, which you're not going to do, but if you did, what bills would you have then? You'd probably just have your cell phone and some insurance.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And you know, the sell everything part is probably the scariest part of the whole process. I remember when we did our final kind of estate sale before we sold our home, before we were closing on our last home. And I remember people coming in there, random total strangers would come in and they were like, "You're selling everything? Like, what are you going to do? And how will you, you know, drive here? And how you're going to watch TV? Or you're going to let go of all of your clothes?" And it's just, and yes, it seems a little bit crazy getting rid of all of your stuff and living out of essentially a suitcase. But honestly, it just is such a richer life, and you just realize that you didn't need all of that stuff. Honestly, when I started the process, I remember opening like a hall closet that we rarely used, and it still had boxes packed from when we had moved into that house 3 years before that we had never opened from the previous house. I thought, nothing in here can possibly be worth keeping. And it wasn't. Everything in those boxes were all things I could easily get rid of, either sell or give away or, you know, donate.
Yeah, so that is a big thing that people have to get past. And you may be asking, if you sold everything, is your quality of life not as good? But the thing is, the places that we're living in, they have just as good or better stuff than the stuff we had. And it's continually updated, and we don't have to pay for it. So we rent usually Airbnbs for a month, 2 months, 3 months at a time. That's how we live in them. But they're beautiful. You can pick whatever you want. You can go 1 month from having a nice 2-story house and a fire pit with a barbecue in the backyard to the next month being on the beach.
In a high rise in a foreign country. It just, you can pick anywhere. You can be in the mountains. You can be at the beach. You can be, you know, in the big city. You can be in the U.S. You can be abroad. The world is your oyster, and that's really the beautiful part about it.
And the beautiful thing about it, too, is that everything is included when you do that. There's no bills. There's no homeowners. There's no water. There's no internet. There's no trash. There's no repairs. I remember walking around our house before we sold it, just thinking, "Oh, I hope this air conditioner doesn't go out." It's like, everybody's fear every year. Please don't let this be the summer the air goes out. You don't have to worry about any of that. So it sounds daunting to sell everything, but it is one of the best things you could do.
Oh, so, yeah. I will say, walking out of that final closing, everything done, keys turned over, the end, we got in the car, and I don't think we've ever had as big of smiles on our face in a long time. We were like, we're free of everything except for the car. We drove it for a little bit, and then our daughter ended up taking over it. But it was pretty amazing.
So once you've sold everything and you get this lump sum of cash, you're going to take that cash and invest it into the stock market, into dividend-paying stocks. Not all on the first day, unless you really want to, but you're going to do that. The
market's good.
And you're going to get money coming in every single month. That's going to help you live. And if you have not earned enough so far, moved enough online, that's just going to add to that. If you have, then you're just going to keep accruing that until there's a day that you don't want to actually work online anymore. So it kind of comes down to the math on that what you get from selling everything and the interest that you'll get off of that, plus the money you move online, only has to pay for your new lifestyle. And we've figured that on an extravagant level, we can live very extravagantly for $4,000 a month in other countries. But if you had to live, you could pretty easily do it for $1,500 to $2,000. Now, we definitely don't live at that level right now, but you could do it if you had to. So I think for a lot of people, this dream isn't as far away as you may be thinking, especially if you're living on thousands and thousands of dollars a month and just making it month to month, as we were before we started doing this. You'll wake up one day and say, "Why am I paying $1,000 to the HOA when that could be rent in another country.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing when you put all of these things together. These are basically the 7 steps in a nutshell that we took, and that's a part of what we share here on Grounded Life Finances is how you can use credit cards towards doing that kind of stuff, but we also share about the stock market and dividends and all kinds of good stuff. So guys, do not forget to subscribe to the channel so you can get all of those details and continue to take notes as you work your way towards possibly traveling full-time or traveling more long-term. Give us a like on this video if you've got some good information. If you have more questions, leave us those down below in the comments. We'll continue to add videos and we'll be answering your questions as well.